What's going on, guys? I'm Fuller from Custom Offsets, and today we're checking out 5 of the coolest trucks that actually no longer exist. So whether you've heard of these, vaguely remember them, or have absolutely no idea that they even existed because you were born in the 2000s, I hope you get at least some entertainment out of this video. Now, let me get a couple of things out of the way. We know that there are other trucks out there besides the ones that we're gonna go over, and honestly, it was very hard to narrow it down to just 5. And secondly, yeah, we know that third-party companies are out there making new versions of these trucks, new versions, you know, but they aren't from the manufacturers themselves. It's all custom and aftermarket stuff, so don't get mad and leave a comment saying that, yo, well, so-and-so makes this truck and so-and-so makes that version of the truck. We get it. We just wanted to focus on the OEM manufacturers, so let's get into it. First on the list, we have the Dodge Ram SRT10. This truck is from an era where a Ram was still a Dodge, and they were only made from 2004 until 2006, and only 10,000 trucks were made. And I'm sure even fewer exist today with the amount of crashes and people buying them as cheaper options for swaps to steal their power plants. The SRT10 shared its engine with the Viper of the time, an 8.3-liter V10 with 500 horsepower and 525 foot-pounds of torque, paired up with a 6-speed manual transmission that accelerated the truck from 0 to 60 in the high 4-second range, which for the time was really quite impressive. Even a brand new Ram now takes a bit over 6 seconds to hit 60. For suspension, the SRT10 sits an inch lower in the front and 2.5 inches lower in the rear, and combines suspension tech from the Viper and the heavy-duty pickup line to make something that can handle the weight and power of this truck in the corners. One interesting fact is that it actually had 5 shocks rather than the usual 4. The extra one was placed on the rear axle to help prevent axle hop during wheel spin, which means Dodge knew exactly what people would be doing with this truck. From the factory, this beast was one of the first trucks to come equipped with factory 22-inch wheels, and those were wrapped in some sticky 305/40 Pirelli tires. Next, we have a truck from Lamborghini, and no, it's not the brand new Urus. Lamborghini actually made a truck back in the 80s that was nicknamed the Rambo Lambo and had an official name of the LM002. This truck, or SUV if you want to get picky, was originally intended for military use, but when no military wanted it, Lamborghini wrapped it with leather and sold it to the general public. This truck stole the V12 out of the Countach, but mounted it in the front rather than in the rear, since after testing a rear engine configuration, Lamborghini pretty much just said that it was junk off-road. Now, as you might imagine from the name, this wasn't actually Lamborghini's first try at a pickup truck. The LM001 and the Cheetah came before.
Cheetah. Fast. Agile. Rugged.
But obviously were not successful. Back to the good old US of A, the Ford Lightning is third on the list, and this truck actually lasted quite a bit longer than all the other ones on the list. So long that it actually had 2 generations. The first was a squared off truck that looked very similar to the standard F-150, but packed a 5.8 liter that made 240 horsepower and used the 4-speed auto that was typically found in the F-350. The second generation though, which was released in 1999 after a 3-year hiatus, shared the 5.4 liter from a regular F-150, but with an Eaton supercharger, making 380 horsepower and 450 foot-pounds of torque and a whole bunch of beautiful noises. The exterior of the second gen got a pretty sweet ground effects package, different headlights, and a factory side exit exhaust. Like the previous generation, the Lightning shared some components like the transmission and brake bits from the F-250 and F-350 trucks. Ford wanted to make sure that you had the stopping power you needed and a reliable and strong transmission to handle the power that this truck delivered. The Lightning was Ford's answer to the GMC Cyclone, which is actually the next truck on our list. Debuting in 1991 and produced for only 2 more years, the Cyclone was the fastest production truck of its time, and it used a 6-cylinder turbocharged engine. The base engine was an adapted version of the common 4.3-liter V6 of the time and was mated to a 4-speed automatic transmission and an all-wheel drive transfer case that split the power, with 65% going to the rear and 35% going to the front. The Cyclone was also the first production truck to receive 4-wheel ABS, which was important considering that the truck launched from 0 to 60 in just 4.3 seconds and ran a 13.4 second quarter mile, even though it only made 280 horsepower. But that wasn't the last cool truck to come out of a GM plant. Lastly, we have the 2003 to 2006 Chevy Silverado SS, not to be confused with the equally awesome 454 SS. The Silverado SS was a 1500 truck that came from the factory with a high output 6.0 liter V8, making 385 horsepower and 380 foot-pounds of torque. Sales on the SS were not the greatest and caused a lot of flip-flopping around in the few short years that it was made, and it started off as all-wheel drive only, but then Chevy thought that two-wheel drive trucks might sell better, so they started offering a two-wheel drive option in 2005, but then those two-wheel drive trucks had drum brakes in the back rather than discs, and in 2006, GM decided to cancel the all-wheel drive option entirely, and ultimately it killed the truck altogether. So those are the 5 pickups that don't exist anymore, but if it was up to me, I'd bring them all back in the newest generations of trucks. Let us know your thoughts below, and if you need wheels or tires for your pickup, check us out at customoffsets.com. Peace. Shoo.